Back with us live on set is Texas State Representative James Talarico. He's the Democratic Party's nominee for the open Senate seat in Texas this year. Representative Talarico, thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Critics have argued that one of the things that makes you unelectable in Texas, is a reason that you can't win in Texas, is because you have been empathetic toward and voiced support for trans people. That you have not been willing to join in the demonization of trans people that motivates so many candidates right now, and that the Republican Party has relied on so heavily in general election campaigns. What's your response to that?
I mean, I don't think we win by selling people out. And we're refusing to do that in this campaign. This is a campaign of, by, and for all Texans. And I think people are really tired of these culture war fights that are designed to tear us apart, designed to get us angry. I mean, there are difficult issues. Trying to figure out trans athletes in sports, that's an issue where we could actually come to a policy solution. But instead, politicians like Ken Paxton, they use those difficult issues to rile people up, to divide us, to distract us, in order to win power for themselves. I mean, it's divide and conquer. It's the oldest strategy in the world. And so what we're trying to do in this campaign is bring people together. I've said that the most radical thing you can do in an era of division is unite people. And we're not going to win with the politics of division. We can't win that game. We have to change the game. And I think what's exciting about this campaign is so many people are hungry for that kind of politics of union, of friendship, of love. And people have been so starved of it for so long now. I mean, we've seen what a politics of fear looks like. We've seen what a politics of anger and rage looks like. But it's been a while since politics has made us feel hopeful or excited about the future, or brings us together and creates community. And I think that's what we're building in Texas in this election.
Well, you had a very difficult, very hard-fought primary to get this nomination against Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and that was a very racially striated result. She had a lot of support from black Texans, and you did not. I mean, Texas has more African-American residents than any other state in the country. Right. Black Democrats are absolutely the backbone of the Texas State Democratic Party. What are you doing to repair any remaining bitterness from that campaign, to reach black Texans, to convince them that you're their candidate too? Yeah,
I want to pick up on something you just said. When I win this seat as the next U.S. Senator from Texas, I'll represent the most African Americans of any senator in the state, in the country. And that work of representing black Texans starts now. It doesn't start the day after the election. And so I've been traveling the whole state. I've been convening private conversations with black business leaders and elected officials and community leaders and faith leaders. I've been visiting black churches and black-owned businesses, appearing on black media throughout the state, particularly our local, Dallas Weekly and Houston Defender, but also podcasts and YouTube shows where, folks are now getting their information and their news. And I've been rolling out policy proposals based on all these conversations that can meet the needs of black Texans. Obviously, there are issues that we all face, right? The rising cost of groceries and gas and housing and childcare and prescription drugs. And then there are issues that black Texans face uniquely. And you think about the maternal mortality crisis in our state that is 3 times deadlier for black women. Harris County, home to Houston, is the deadliest place for a black woman to give birth in the entire country. And so we've rolled out a comprehensive plan to combat that crisis. We've been visiting our HBCUs. We did a town hall at Prairie View and then gave the commencement address at Paul Quinn College in Dallas, the oldest HBCU. We've been talking about how to bring HBCU funding up to parity, because there's a gap in funding between our historically black colleges and universities and similar institutions with a similar percentage of low-income students. And imagine if we actually closed that gap, what our HBCUs in Texas could do. And then we already talked about voting rights. I mean, we have seen the most aggressive attack on black political power since Jim Crow. Gutting of the Voting Rights Act, these racist redistricting maps. And I think the first thing that we have to do, to your point earlier, when we win a Senate majority, our first priority, before we get to housing and healthcare and education, has to be passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and guaranteeing that all of our neighbors, particularly our black and brown neighbors, can access their God-given rights at the ballot box.
One last question I want to ask you about, even though I've just been told we're out of time.
No.
Forget it. I'm breaking the rules.
It's your show.
One of the things that I came across in prepping for today's show was interesting images out of San Antonio from just a few days ago, on Friday in San Antonio, where I know you were a middle school teacher.
That's right.
At the very beginning of your career. People protesting there against ICE detention facilities,
Yep.
ICE immigrant prisons. A group of Democratic Texas members of Congress recently toured Dilley,
Yep.
the family detention center in South Texas. And what they found there was shocking in terms of the conditions in which people were held, but they also found things that were just shocking categorically. They said that the youngest person they found incarcerated there was 2 months old. Should Dilley be shut down?
You know, my friend and colleague, Congressman Joaquin Castro, has done a lot of work on this, and he's telling me about the human rights abuses that are happening at Dilley. It has to end, and that can't be on our watch. And this is not the last time, or the first time that we've seen a baby, an infant, being treated this way in Dilley. I am sick to my stomach seeing the abuses that have been committed against our undocumented neighbors in Texas and all over this country. You mentioned that I was a teacher on the west side of San Antonio. I taught a lot of undocumented students. In Houston, we saw ICE murder Lorenzo Salgado, our fellow Texan who had lived in Houston for 35 years. And as a construction worker, he sent his 3 boys to college. His oldest is a public school teacher. His middle son's an engineer. His youngest is still in school. I mean, Lorenzo Salgado embodied the American dream. And the fact that we are spending our limited law enforcement resources on Lorenzo Salgado, on a 2-month-old, those are law enforcement resources that aren't going to actual immigration and customs enforcement. Those resources aren't going to keeping us safe and removing people who actually mean to do us harm, which we should do. Instead, those resources are going to masked men in unmarked vehicles that are terrorizing our communities all over the state. They're going to these detention centers like Dilley. And I think we need a senator from Texas who is going to hold ICE accountable, who's going to end these human rights abuses in these facilities, and who's going to fight for comprehensive immigration reform, finally, so we can stop grandstanding on this issue and actually fix it.
Texas State Representative James Talarico is the Democratic Party's nominee for the open U.S. Senate seat in Texas this year. It's really nice to meet you. I'm glad to have a chance to talk to you this way. Come back.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.